Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev just had an intense press conference ahead of their highly anticipated fight in October. However, what happened backstage stole more headlines than the showdown between these two top-tier fighters. Believe it or not, Jake Paul attacked Mike Tyson. Yes, Jake found a way to steal the spotlight at the Dmitry versus Artur press conference, turning the attention away from the main event. Typical Jake Paul, right? He's a master at making every occasion about himself. This time, he had another trick ready to divert focus from Bivol and Beterbiev as they were gearing up for their big day. While the fighters were preparing for the conference, Jake was backstage, waiting for his moment. Walking right past Iron Mike, you could feel the tension building. Jake, of course, couldn't keep his mouth shut and decided to throw a few verbal jabs at Tyson. Classic Jake, always looking for drama. Now, you know how Mike Tyson operates, he's all about respect. Jake, however, was pushing it. He was not his usual cocky self, in fact, he was sweating bullets. When Jake loses his cool, his trash-talking kicks into high gear. This time he crossed several lines, and things escalated quickly. What began as verbal taunting turned into a full-on brawl. Before anyone knew it, fists were flying and chaos erupted backstage. Security had to intervene, struggling to keep the situation from spiraling further out of control. Jake might have bitten off more than he could chew this time. When you mess with a bear like Mike Tyson, especially when you're trying to steal the spotlight, things rarely end well. Meanwhile, the press conference between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev was already heating up. The two fighters were trading verbal blows, doing their best to hype up the match. But Jake Paul has this uncanny ability to stir the pot and make everything about himself. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying Jake's skill at keeping eyes glued to him. However, the madness backstage was on a different level. Here's the kicker. Jake Paul is set to fight Mike Tyson on November 15, 2024 at the @NT Arena. It was almost as if he was trying to steal some attention for his own bout, using the Dmitry versus Artur event to generate extra hype. Grabbing the spotlight from two legends? Typical Jake. So what exactly happened? While Dmitry and Artur were trading verbal shots on stage, Jake lurked backstage, just waiting for his moment. When he saw Mike, he couldn't resist the urge to provoke him. You know how Tyson is, he doesn't tolerate disrespect. And Jake went all in, firing shots and hurling insults. His trash talking was relentless, and it didn't stop there. He physically confronted Tyson, throwing punches at the boxing legend. Tyson, however, didn't back down. Despite his age, he still has the hands of a fighter, and he made sure to remind Jake of that. Tyson's entourage and Jake's crew quickly got involved, and the backstage turned into an all-out brawl. Security personnel rushed in to separate the fighters, but it wasn't easy. Jake was swinging wildly, trying to land punches on Tyson, who was cool as ever, blocking and countering like the pro he is. Now, let's break down the fight mechanics here. Jake Paul's fighting style is aggressive and chaotic. He loves to overwhelm his opponent by coming out swinging with force. But Tyson? He's a defensive genius, known for his legendary head movement and ability to slip punches. Jake looked reckless, while Tyson remained calm, precise, and ready to capitalize on his mistakes. It was a classic case of an inexperienced fighter going against a seasoned pro. Jake didn't just stop at the punches. He continued firing off insults, desperately trying to get under Tyson's skin. But if you've seen Tyson in action, you know he doesn't get rattled easily. He waited patiently, dodging Jake's wild swings until he found the right moment to counter. You could feel the difference in skill and experience as Tyson picked apart Jake's reckless approach. The entourages clashed as well, adding to the chaos. Jake's team tried to pull him back, but he wouldn't listen, pushing forward and swinging at anyone in his path. Tyson's crew worked hard to contain the situation, trying to prevent further escalation. Shouting, punches, and security scrambling to restore order filled the backstage area. This isn't Jake's first time losing his temper in public. He's built a reputation as the problem child in the world of boxing. Remember when he brawled with Floyd Mayweather and Nate Diaz? Or the infamous Mike Tyson press conference in New York on August 18th, where things got heated? Jake has been causing chaos at pressers for years, trying to keep fans talking. But this time, it was on a different level. Press conferences in combat sports are more than promotional events. They're psychological battlegrounds where fighters aim to get into each other's heads and stir up anticipation among fans. Bivol and Beterbiev were aware of this, exchanging words to set the stage for their upcoming clash. But of course, Jake had to make himself the center of attention. During the press conference on August 18th, Jake was doing everything he could to promote his upcoming fight with Mike Tyson. Yet, you could see the fear creeping in. This wasn't just another YouTuber or retired athlete he was going up against, it was the legendary Mike Tyson. Jake's usual cocky demeanor gave way to nervousness. He started rambling, his words stumbling over each other. He blurted out taunts, trying to get a rise out of Tyson. "You had to go on your little menopause break and postpone the fight," he sneered, his voice quivering slightly. "I was ready before you needed a little break. Your tummy hurt?" The awkwardness was palpable. Fans could see right through him. He was shaking in the presence of a legend. And that's when it happened. The tension in the room escalated as Jake, in a desperate bid to assert his dominance, went beyond trash talking. He physically engaged Tyson, throwing the first punch. It was a bold but foolish move. Tyson responded immediately, his calm and composed manner contrasting sharply with Jake's frantic energy. Tyson's punches were measured, showing his mastery in the ring. He didn't go all out, likely holding back to avoid seriously injuring Jake. But the message was clear. Jake had crossed a line, and Tyson wasn't going to let him off easily. Jake kept coming, swinging wildly, but Tyson evaded each blow with precision. Meanwhile, the fans were not impressed. You can taunt many fighters, but going after Tyson is a whole different level. As Jake continued his antics, the crowd's mood shifted. What was meant to be hype turned into a backlash against Jake. Booing echoed in the room, signaling that the problem child had overstepped his bounds. Tyson's response was calm and deadly. He didn't need to match Jake's trash talk. His presence and skill spoke louder than words. As Jake ranted about being a kid from Ohio, stumbling through insults, Tyson stood firm, intimidating Jake with his sheer aura. Jake was visibly out of his league. His attempt to draw attention to his upcoming fight backfired, exposing his insecurities rather than boosting his image. Fans watched, both cringing and glued to the scene, unable to turn away from the spectacle of Jake unraveling in front of a living legend. The press conference descended into chaos. As Jake's crew tried to pull him away and Tyson's entourage tried to defuse the situation, security personnel swarmed the area. But the damage was done. The scene had shifted from hype building to pure mayhem, setting the stage for a highly anticipated fight on November 15th. When fight night comes, Tyson will let his fists do the talking.